Hello and welcome back. My name is V, and today I'd like to answer a question that I've been asked quite a lot since I've hit 100th hour in Persona 5 Royale. A lot of people, both who have played and who haven't played this game, are interested in whether I feel like the game is worth playing or not, and especially after playing for more than 100 hours and not even being probably halfway through the game, what my opinion is and whether the game feels like it's worth playing as a first playthrough. If you happen to be new here on the channel, make sure to subscribe, leave a video a like, and let me know your thoughts on Persona 5 Royale, whether or not after 100 hours you felt like Persona 5 Royale was worth it, and if you haven't played it yet, would you be intimidated by the sheer length of the game, or is this something that's been sitting on your backlog for a while now? Let me know. So when it comes to Persona 5, I think it's needless to say at this point that the game is quite massive. And it's unapologetic about it. Everybody knows that it's like a 200-hour game and it just exists in this form and expects you to consume it, which you probably will want to once you start playing it. There's a lot of burnout potential in Persona 5, and I think that people don't realize just how much of a commitment it is to play this kind of game, especially when you don't have the time to just consistently sit and play all day long and finish the game in about 10 or 15 days because you've just fully committed to it. Some people, myself included, don't have this kind of time, and we can only dedicate a few hours a week, maybe up to 10, to play the game, and even that I think is a luxury for most people. And when you think about Persona 5 Royale as a game, you can only assume that it would take months for someone to actively play the game and only look at that game to be able to catch up with the story. So there's definitely a burnout potential. But instead of forcing myself through the game faster, I've discovered that I really need to cut the gameplay, at least occasionally, and do something else instead so that I don't feel burnt out. I've recently started speedrunning Persona 3 Reload, which is my favorite game of all time, and I realized that doing that makes me feel like I've earned my Persona 5 time, and since I speedrun on Saturdays and normally play Persona 5 on Sundays, it just feels like a chill community time that I really enjoy. So from that point of view, I think I would advise everyone who wants to play Persona 5 to find something, even if it's a mini project or a shorter game, to occasionally play while playing Persona 5 Royale, because the game is quite long and you might just feel burnt out regardless of how good the story is. Persona 5 Royale is not one of those games that gets good after the first 80 or 90 or 100 hours or something like that. I can honestly say that I felt like the game was good from the very beginning, but it takes a while for the actual story of the game to develop. And I don't think that I've even reached the point in game where I know the actual story, the main story of the game itself. I spent a lot of time doing social links and I'm just past the 5th palace. So there are a lot of plot twists and a lot of things that haven't happened for me yet. So I think that I'm yet to experience that, which sounds baffling to someone who has only ever played games that are 40 or 50 or even 60 hours long. This is a long game and the story takes a while to develop, but I'm already seeing the payoff, and I can definitely say from that point of view that it's worth it. The main story kind of happens through these palaces, and like I said, I'm just past the 5th one and I haven't seen all of them, and I don't even know whose palaces they are, and I definitely don't want to know before I go there. But a lot of the story actually happens through social links as well, which kind of feel like side quests, but I think that it is the core world building that I've been all over. I always choose to go for a social link whenever there is a night for activities or after school time or something like that. I'm not a very big fan of mementos, and social links or confidants, how they're called in Persona 5, are one of my favorite things to do. And I've only just started maxing out some of the Persona 5 confidants, and it just feels really rewarding. First of all, these rank 10 cutscenes are all voiced, and that feels like a reward in and of itself, as the rest of the social link cutscenes unfortunately are not voiced except for the very first ones. So that always feels satisfying, and so far all of the characters whose social link I've maxed out have had some pretty interesting or traumatic things happening to them, and I can only say good things about my experience playing the game so far. I've already made a video about this, but I just wanted to mention it again. One of the most impactful things for me when playing Persona 5 was meeting Futaba. She is the character who I am absolutely invested in. And the funny thing is, when I started playing P5, I thought that that character was going to be Ann. At first, some of the things that she would say and do made her feel really relatable to me, but then I realized that Ann and I are very different people when it comes to a lot of different things. And I've just been looking for that one character whose story I will want to follow till the very end of the game. And Futaba in her story is one of them. I think she's absolutely precious. She has an interesting and an engaging story. And at this point, I'm just there for it. I have to know how her character develops, what happens at the end, and where she ends up. Please no spoilers in the comments because I do read them. But she's definitely super interesting to me, and I'm very glad that I found a character who I will always look forward to seeing in cutscenes. This is the stage of the game where the game really wants to test you on how well you understand weaknesses, technical hits, and all the other things that you felt maybe like you didn't really have to use in the battle. And I learned this firsthand while fighting the final boss of the 5th palace. I have to admit I was a little bit frustrated because I didn't expect the boss battle to be in the format that it was in. But my advice to anyone who's just starting with Persona 5 is to definitely pay attention to things like weaknesses, technical hits, criticals, and all the stuff that the game is trying to teach you, because that knowledge will come in very handy later on. I don't know what the next few bosses are going to be like, but the game at some point definitely expects you to know what you should have known probably from the beginning. And I'm kind of glad, because not a lot of games will actually make you use all of the features and check if you've learned them or not. With Persona 5, you can probably get through the game without doing all this stuff, but there are things like DPS checks and things that you can only do if you've been listening to what the game's been trying to teach you. So from that point of view, it is fun. I don't think there's a lot of people who would quit the game that they're playing after about 100 hours, but I just kind of wanted to reaffirm that I will definitely finish the game. First of all, because I'm invested. I think that the story is really good, and even though I can kind of assume some of the things that will be happening, judging by the JRPG tropes and the history of Persona itself and the way they form their villains, I feel like the game itself is giving off strong hints that there are some things that are going to be happening with certain characters, but I don't know them yet, so I'm definitely still enjoying and still very much invested into the game. Also, I'm having fun. The game never really hits a dead end or a part of the story where you feel like nothing is going on. At best, you might be waiting for a few days to get the resolution cutscene for your finished palace. But even during this time, you can spend your time doing social links and all these other activities that are there, and that at the end of the day, if you don't do them, you're probably going to miss out on them, because the game doesn't really give you that much free time to be able to do everything. So you also have to keep yourself a little bit organized And if you want to 100% a game using a guide, a non-spoiler one of course, would probably be the best advice. Another reason why I am committed to finishing Persona 5, apart from obviously having fun and enjoying the game, is because I would like to both watch Persona 5 Royal speedruns and maybe one day learn it. I've recently discovered some amazing speedrunners from the Persona 5 Royal category, and some of them have become quite good friends, and I always feel bad for leaving the stream at some point when we hit spoiler territory, so I've been trying really hard to get through the game so that I can enjoy a full run. As a massive Persona fan, the dream is to go through all of the Persona games, and in order to see some of the later ones like Tactica, Strikers, or even the dancing game, I feel like it is imperative to finish Persona 5, so this is a project that I will be moving forward with and trying to get done in the next few weeks. If you would like to join me on a journey, you can find me on Twitch, and you can find my Twitch link in the description of this video and in a pinned comment if you haven't done so yet. Also, do subscribe here on the channel if you haven't done so yet, leave the like on the video, and let me know how you felt after 100 hours in Persona 5 Royal. If you still remember, if that wasn't too long ago, or if you're new to Persona and Persona 5 in general, let me know if you think you could play a game for 100 hours and be just barely past halfway through the game and still enjoy it. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care and bye bye.